thrill seekers. That was a little clip from a song called Zombie Bounty Hunter MD that I wrote for the movie Zombie Bounty Hunter MD. And if I did it right, there should have been a little link in the top right corner, I think, of the screen to how to watch the whole video of the song. The video was actually made by the director of the film, Piruz Kalea, and he didn't want me to put the whole video up on my channel. So the link will take you to his video channel so you can watch the whole song. And I may make my own video for the song, a different video, but I want you to look at Piruz's video for the song because it's a good video. So that's that. And I wanted to talk to you about something that has no relation to that, but I just found that video and I liked it and I wanted to call your attention to it. So that's why that's at the beginning of this video, but it has nothing to do with what I want to talk to you about. What I wanted to talk to you about is a little bit about some Nisargadatta Maharaj stuff that somebody had asked me about what I thought of the Gene Dunn books. And so let me get into some nerdy Nisargadatta Maharaj stuff. So in case you don't know, in case you're new to the video channel, Nisargadatta Maharaj is a guy I'm kind of fond of. He is not part of the Zen tradition. He is sort of part of the Advaita Vedanta tradition in India, of Indian philosophy, and I'm not even sure he's really considered by some to even be part of that. His most famous book is this, I Am That. And this book, I guess, came out originally in a 3-volume set published in India in, I think, 1973. This is the current version, much easier to get. I can't even find the 1973 version. I've been trying on eBay and stuff. If anybody knows where to find the 1973 version, I'd love to get a copy of that. But anyway, this is the most common edition that you find these days. And so there are sort of 3 main people who've put out Nisargadatta Maharaj's stuff. So, okay, here's the deal with Nisargadatta Maharaj. I've told this story a bunch of times. The short version is he was a shopkeeper. He had a bunch of little cigarette shops, little bodegas, sort of the Indian equivalent of convenience store, that sold mainly cigarettes. And he got it into his head sometime when he was in his 30s, I guess, that he wanted to understand the meaning of life. And he kind of abandoned his cigarette shops and found this guru and studied with this guru for 3 years and had a great epiphany and felt he'd had a profound awakening experience. And during that time, all but one of his cigarette shops had gone out of business because he'd kind of neglected him. I think maybe some members of his family had tried to look after him, but they hadn't done a very good job. So he had this experience and he came back and he basically just went back to running the one cigarette shop that was still in business. And he lived in an apartment on top of the cigarette shop, and he never tried to start a movement or an ashram or anything, but he would entertain visitors. People who wanted to come and talk to him about his experience could come up, and I guess he eventually had certain times of day, I think maybe twice a day, you could come up to his apartment and he would talk to you about his experiences. And eventually a guy named Maurice Friedman, who I think was British, started coming to the shop, and I'm not sure if Nisargadatta Maharaj could speak English. He may have been able to speak a little bit of English, but he didn't do his talks in English. He did his talks in an Indian language called Marti. And Maurice Friedman could understand Marti. So Maurice Friedman translated a bunch of Nisargadatta Maharaj's talks into English, and with Nisargadatta Maharaj's permission, published a book in English of his talks. And that's what this is, or published 3 volumes of a book. So during Nisargadatta Maharaj's lifetime, he was aware of and knew about this book, and apparently had read the book. I don't know, this is why I say I don't know if he spoke English. Somehow he was able to read this book. I don't know if he read it in English or if somebody translated it back into Marti for him so he could understand it. I'm not sure. I know that most Indian people can understand English, so maybe he understood enough to read the book, or maybe somebody translated it, I don't know. But he was aware during his lifetime of this book. Now, after Nisargadatta Maharaj had died, other people had published books where they translated other talks of his into English. And there's two main people I know of who did that, which are this guy, Robert Powell, who published at least 3 books that I know of, one of them being The Ultimate Medicine. And there was a woman named Jean Dunn. And I don't know anything. I haven't been able to find out anything about Robert Powell. I've become a kind of a Nisargadatta Maharaj nerd in the past couple of years. And maybe I should publish a book about Nisargadatta Maharaj, because I don't think anybody's really done much of research into sort of that, like a scholarly book about his works or the works that have been done about him. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, I have been able to find out a little bit about Jean Dunn. Nothing about Robert Powell, but Jean Dunn, I know, was she seems to me to have been a kind of very strict sort of person who was very interested in trying to get it right. Some people had felt that Maurice Friedman's work was a little bit not exactly what Nisargadatta Maharaj had said, and that Jean Dunn had gotten it into her mind that she wanted to make a very precise version that was a much more exact translation of the things that Nisargadatta Maharaj had said. And that's what she came out with were her books that were supposedly much more true to exactly what he'd said. Now, for my money, I don't see a world of difference between the Maurice Friedman translations and the Robert Powell translations and the Jean Dunn translations. They all seem quite similar, so I don't see that there's a world of difference. But one thing I thought was interesting is I got that question yesterday, and I happened to pick up this book, and I found an interesting passage that I'd like to share with you, and I hope that doesn't make this video too long, because it's already gone on longer than I expected it to. But I'm going to read this passage to you, and we'll see where we get, because I think this is very Zenish. This comes from Jean Dunn's book, Seeds of Consciousness, and as she does, she doesn't give her chapters titles, she just tells you what day they were recorded on. So this was recorded August 27th, 1979, and I'm not going to read you the whole thing because, as I said, I already wasted too much time. So here we go. It starts off, truth is timeless and beyond description. Whoever lives in that, and whatever he does, can the ego challenge the truth that exists forever? The truth cannot be challenged by anyone. And then I'm going to skip a little bit, and the questioner asks, I am very anxious about my life, not satisfied. And Nisargadatta Maharaj answers, you are immortal, you are not going to die, but give up the present meaning which you attach to life. You have only one thing to do. Care for others as much as you care for yourself. Behave as if they were all yours. That is all you can do. There is no necessity for following any particular path. Everything is the same. Think of that which is the center of the cosmos. Don't let your attention stray in any way from this knowledge of beingness. I am. Saints and sages have assumed many prior lives, but those lives were limited only for that particular period. All these beingnesses have appeared on ignorance, and the whole consciousness is enjoying consciousness through ignorance, which has come out of ignorance. If you leave off the pride and the ego of that knowledge, which you have got through ignorance, then everything is clear. You have some experiences, and you try to benefit from them. But remember that whatever is going to be of use to you ultimately is going to harm you. This is what I think is kind of interesting and a little bit... Anyway, it's a little bit interesting. Wherever there is use, there is also disuse in this world of duality. Whatever you like is going to create harm for you. Whatever you like most is, in the end, going to be the most harmful for you, even when it is Paramatman. Paramatman is the God, it's hard to explain. The ultimate Atman. Atman being, oh gosh, let's not even go there. It's the everything. Let's just say the everything. The sort of goal of spiritual life in his tradition would be Paramatman or Parabrahman. And he's saying even that, if you like it the most, is going to be harmful for you. Whatever appears on you as knowledge and you try to understand it and you like it is going to be a cause of very great sorrow for you. When you come to the state of Parabrahman, there are no desires, no likes or dislikes. That is Niskama Parabrahman. And the questioner asks, what is Niskama Parabrahman? Maharaj answers, because that Niskama, desireless, Parabrahman is, this manifestation has appeared and is doing what it pleases. Manifestation is Sakama, with desire, but the support of it is Niskama, without desire. Questioner says, if you want to reach that state, does it mean you also act like that? I don't care what happens, let it happen? And he answers, if you want to discuss it through the medium of the mind, you are welcome to think of any meaning whatsoever. But whatever is done has limits. It is all limited activity. If you want this experience, you must insist on yourself, your own Atma Prema, self-love. Don't leave it for a moment. You insist. Do not pray to gods or goddesses. Only see one. Keep on knowing that I am, and through that insistence you will know the state that you want to reach. And that's where the dialogue ends. But I thought that was really interesting because as soon as I read that, it made me think of an old famous Zen poem, and maybe some of you have already figured out which one this is. But it's one that's commonly known as Shinjin-mei, which is difficult to translate. It's usually Faith Mind Inscription, which is a weird title. But I'll read you some of probably the most famous translation, which is D.T. Suzuki's translation. And other people have done translations since D.T. Suzuki, and usually people there's a kind of a sense these days of D.T. Suzuki's translations being kind of inadequate. I think D.T. Suzuki's translations are okay. I know this is kind of a unpopular take among a lot of Soto Zen Buddhists like I am, because D.T. Suzuki was a Rinzai Zen Buddhist and also not himself a monk. But I kind of like D.T. Suzuki's translations nonetheless. So here's D.T. Suzuki's translation of Shinjin-mei, and see if you can see the similarity between what Nisargadatta Maharaj is saying there and this old Zen poem. Who wrote this poem? Sozan? It doesn't matter that much, but anyway, here it goes. The perfect way knows no difficulties, except that it refuses to make preference. Only when freed from love and hate, it reveals itself fully and without disguise. 1/10 of an inch's difference, and heaven and earth are set apart. If you want to see it manifest, take no thought either for or against. To set up what you like against what you dislike, this is the disease of the mind. When the deep meaning of the way is not understood, peace of mind is disturbed, and nothing is gained. The way is perfect like unto vast space, with nothing wanting, nothing superfluous. It is indeed due to making choice that its suchness is lost sight of. And the poem goes on from there. It's fairly long, and I will leave a link in the description below to where you can read the whole thing, because it's available online. It's available online in several places, but I'll leave one of the places in the link below. But this idea of not liking or disliking, this is a really difficult concept that I've come up against a lot in Zen. And this idea of avoiding preferences, it's kind of like, well, I went out and got frozen yogurt yesterday. And when I went to the frozen yogurt shop, there were like 10, it was one of those typical froyo places where you got you dispense it yourself, with the little handles and go. And the one flavor I wanted to get, mango flavor, was out, and I was a little bit miffed, like, oh, there's no more mango flavor. My preference was out, so I got the, what did I get? It was like pistachio mixed with coconut. That's what I got anyway, my second preference. So, I had preferences. I had a preference. I wanted the mango, but I didn't get the mango. And my second preference was the pistachio mixed with coconut, which was fine. And Ziggy really loves coconut flavored things. So he enjoyed getting my leftovers of that flavor. So it was probably better for him. But anyway, so it's not like that. It's not like you walk into the ice cream shop and go, oh, I have no preferences because I'm Zen, so give me any flavor you like. It's not like that. It's more a sense of allowing the world to be as it is, allowing yourself to be as you are, and not trying to force the world to change to be what you want it to be. And I think that's that particular disease of the mind, as the author of this poem, I wish I could remember his name. I think it's Sosan. I should know this. Being a good Zen Buddhist, I should be able to rattle this off the top of my head right away, but I don't. This disease of the mind, I think, is particularly strong these days in America, with us, insisting that the world should be exactly as we like it, and getting really mad if the world isn't exactly as we like it. And we're really riding that one hard, that the world should be exactly as we like it. And it's one we're especially prone to in the modern age because it's so easy to make things exactly the way we like it. Just to take one stupid example, back in my day, when I was a young whippersnapper, we only had 3 channels on TV, and the only thing we could get is TV, when I was a young lad. We only had 3 channels, so I was reading a book about the Three Stooges, which was saying, you think about it, on Saturday afternoons, 1/3 of the things that were available on television were the Three Stooges, and you think about that, you think about that compared to today, you have so many choices, if I want to watch anything, just about anything I can think of, I can call it up, on the computer, and I can watch anything from any era, listen to any music from any era, and I don't have to do anything. I just sit in my couch and, lazy and drool dripping out of my mouth and go blub, 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 there it is. Rare Jimi Hendrix performance from 1962 that nobody even knew existed. I can just put that on in my headphones and there it is. And it's so easy. You can do anything, change whatever you want, go have a surgery and change your whole body and whatever, do all this stuff and insist that the world gets to be exactly what you want it to be. And it's a kind of a disease, and we're kind of going deeply, deeply into that disease. And I think it's not a good thing. I think it's a really bad thing that we're doing to ourselves, and we need to pull back from that. And there's a certain kind of you can look at this 2 ways. You can look at it and try to go, oh God, I'm not pure enough because I went into the ice cream shop and I was like, oh, I wanted the mango flavor, and I felt a little twinge of like, oh gosh, they didn't have the mango flavor, and I had to get the what did I say, coconut pistachio flavor, and berate yourself and feel all bad about that. You don't have to go that far, but at least work on, at least this is what I tell myself, work on not insisting so hard that the world should conform to what you want it to be. And you think about when this stuff was written. I mean, Nisargadatta Maharaj was talking in 1979, which isn't that long ago. But Sosan, who wrote this thing about preferences, was writing in the Middle Ages when, God, what kind of preferences could you have back in those days? But he was still, even then, recognizing that this was a problem, even then. So I just think it's something we should think about and work on. And this is my message, and I'm not holding myself up as the great exemplar of how to do it, because look at my bookshelf, look at all these preferences I have back here. But it's something I think that, to the extent one is able to put aside preferences, one can have a much happier life. How about that? That's where I'll leave it today. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the Jello Sheriff. That was the name of the band we put together for that Zombie Bounty Hunter MD song. If you want to go look at it on Piru's channel, please take a look. And if you want to support me doing what I do, you can go to the URL that you're seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. That is how I make most of my living, and I appreciate your support. But as always, you don't got to support me if you don't want to support me. Also, you will see at the end, I've been putting this up for about a month now, all the places I'm going to be in Europe, and also one place I'm going to be in America, in Bozeman, Montana. I've been talking to some people in Cleveland and some people in New Mexico about gigs. I don't know if those are going to happen, so I might be doing some more stuff in the US. Keep your eyes peeled for those, and hope to see you there. All right, we'll see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye. Hey, Ziggy. How am I supposed to get action shots from you if you keep sleeping on your bed all the time when I'm making these videos? Well, I'll just let you sleep for now. I'm going to go edit the video. We'll see you later. Bye.